Okay, so imagine this with me.
Okay.
A perfect summer day in New Zealand.
Okay.
Sun-drenched air, the buzz of cicadas, the scent of eucalyptus.
Uh-huh.
You're with friends, fresh off the high of a music festival at Lake Tikitapu.
Yeah.
The open road calls beckoning you towards adventure. But before you head back to the everyday, a secluded swimming hole tucked away in the lush Waikato region.
Nice.
Crystal clear water, untouched nature. Sounds idyllic, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The perfect way to cap off an unforgettable experience.
Exactly. But for this group of 7 friends, their detour to paradise takes a terrifying turn.
Okay.
This inviting swimming hole becomes the setting for a desperate fight for survival, because lurking somewhere in this serene landscape is a mystery. A series of unexplained sirens, and a tragedy that no one could have predicted.
This is already grabbing my attention.
It all begins with our group of friends. They've packed up their cars after a night at a relative's house, a little after party following the music festival.
Okay.
They're heading back to Auckland, and it just so happens to be Waitangi Day, a significant national holiday in New Zealand.
Waitangi Day, that rings a bell. Isn't that the anniversary of the Treaty of Waitangi, a pivotal moment in New Zealand's history?
You're exactly right. It's a day often marked by celebrations and reflection on the nation's past.
Right.
So you can imagine the atmosphere festive, carefree, maybe a little more relaxed than usual. One of the friends, Rachel, had stumbled upon this secret swimming spot with another friend, Maddie, a few months back.
Okay.
They described it as this picture-perfect oasis in the middle of the forest.
Yeah.
A secluded part of the Waikato River that's mostly dry at this time of year.
A hidden paradise. I can already see why they'd be drawn to it.
Absolutely. And getting there was half the adventure. We're not talking about a well-marked path here.
Right.
It was an unofficial, unmarked dirt trail winding through the dense forest.
Okay.
But these friends, they were up for the challenge, eager for one last adventure before returning to reality.
And completely unaware of the danger that lay ahead.
Little did they know.
Yeah.
So they park their cars, pile out stretching their limbs after the long drive,
Okay.
and follow Rachel and Maddie down this narrow path.
Right.
The anticipation is palpable sunlight. Filters through the leaves, dappling the forest floor. Birds call to each other, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and pine needles. And then they hear it.
Hear what?
A piercing, high-pitched siren cuts through the tranquility of the forest, echoing all around them.
That's unsettling.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
They freeze in their tracks, exchanging uneasy glances. The sound seems to go on forever, maybe a good 30 seconds, before abruptly ending, leaving an unsettling silence in its wake.
Did they try to find out where it came from?
For a moment, they hesitate. You know that feeling when something just feels off?
Yeah.
Like a prickle on the back of your neck?
Oh, absolutely. That intuitive sense of warning we often ignore.
Exactly. And in this case, they choose to ignore it.
Okay.
They convince themselves it was probably nothing, just a strange sound in the distance. Maybe a car alarm or a piece of farm equipment.
Sure.
They shrug it off, their excitement for the swimming hole overriding any lingering unease.
So they continued on toward the hidden oasis.
Yes, they press forward, the trail opening up as they approach their destination. The trees thin, revealing glimpses of shimmering blue-green water.
Okay.
They're almost there, and that's when the siren screams again. And it's closer this time.
Oh, no.
More intense.
Yeah.
They practically feel the vibrations in their chests as the siren's wail reverberates through the forest.
Wow.
And yet nothing happens.
Okay.
The sound abruptly cuts off, and the forest falls silent once more.
Right.
They scan their surroundings, half expecting to see some explanation, some source of the unsettling noise. But there's nothing.
Yeah.
Just dappled sunlight filtering through the leaves and the inviting pools shimmering below.
I can only imagine the mix of anticipation and unease hanging in the air.
You can practically taste it,
Yeah.
but they're young, full of that invincible spirit, and the allure of that crystal clear water is too strong to resist.
Yeah.
They convinced themselves it was nothing but maybe some strange bird or even a prank from a nearby hiking group.
It's amazing how quickly we can rationalize things away, especially when we're caught up in the excitement of the moment. The human brain is a curious thing.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
They find a rocky outcrop overlooking the pool ropes already strung up to help them climb down.
Okay.
You see, this wasn't completely uncharted territory. Others had been here before.
Oh, so it was a bit of a local secret, but not entirely unheard of.
Exactly.
Ooh, okay.
But that makes it even more unsettling, don't you think?
Uh-huh.
If others knew about this place, why wasn't there any information, any warnings about potential dangers?
Right.
But I'm getting ahead of myself.
Okay.
One by one, they make their way down to the water's edge, shedding their clothes, eager for that refreshing plunge.
The picture of innocence, completely oblivious to the danger lurking beneath the surface.
And above the surface, for that matter.
Oh.
Because just as they're settling in, some of them perched on those large rocks, jutting out of the water cameras out to capture the moment the siren screams again.
3 times. There's something almost symbolic about that, isn't there?
It's like a countdown in a horror movie.
Right.
Except in this case, they're living the horror.
Wow.
But even after 3 ear-splitting alarms, they barely react.
Really?
They're almost desensitized to it at this point.
Yeah.
They've convinced themselves it's harmless. But as the final echoes of the siren fade, they hear something new.
What's that?
A deep rumbling roar, growing louder by the second.
That doesn't sound good. Did they recognize what it was?
They turn towards the sound, looking upstream, and that's when they see it. A wall of white water surging around the bend, hurtling toward them with terrifying speed and force.
The moment they realized they'd made a terrible mistake.
The moment paradise transformed into a nightmare. The once tranquil pool transformed into a raging torrent before their eyes.
A flash flood.
Exactly. Remember, it's Waitakere Day, a holiday. Their guard is down. They had no reason to check dam release schedules or pay attention to water levels if they even knew such things existed.
Yeah.
And those sirens, those were warnings.
Oh.
Warnings they completely misinterpreted because they were unaware of the danger lurking just beneath the surface of that beautiful, inviting water.
Wow.
Imagine the panic that must have gripped them as the water surged around their legs, the current pulling at their bodies, the roar of the water drowning out all other sounds.
Oh, gosh.
Their little oasis, their idyllic escape transformed into a trap in the blink of an eye.
What did they do?
It was a scramble for survival. The rocks they were perched on, those little islands in the middle of the pool, disappeared beneath the churning water.
They had nowhere to go except into that raging current.
2 of the men, they managed to reach a rocky outcropping connected to the forest edge. Just a sliver of safety amidst the chaos, they reached back, yelling for the others to swim to them, their desperate cries swallowed by the roar of the water. Imagine yourself there in that moment, the water rising around you, the current threatening to sweep you away, the deafening roar in your ears. What would you do?
It's hard to even fathom our instinct for self-preservation. It's a powerful force.
And in the face of unimaginable danger, sometimes the only option is a leap of faith.
What do you mean?
They decided to jump. Rachel Ever, the brave one, she went first, leaped from the rock, arms outstretched, and somehow miraculously managed to grab hold of one of the guys who'd reached safety.
Wow.
He pulled her up onto that sliver of rock just as the water surged over the spot where she'd been standing seconds before.
A brush with death.
One after another, the others followed, leaping, trusting, hoping against hope that their friends would catch them. But the current, it was relentless.
Someone didn't make it.
One of the women, the second to last to jump, she lost her grip. She and the young man who almost had her helmed, they were both swept away by that wall of water. Imagine the terror, the sheer force of nature.
It's heartbreaking, and their friends witnessing it all.
Rachel, despite having just escaped herself, she didn't hesitate. She saw her friend Alice clinging to the rock, almost completely submerged. The water was up to her neck, the current pulling at her back. Rachel grabbed her GoPro selfie stick, extended it as far as she could, and yelled for Alice to grab on.
She put her own life on the line to try and save her friend.
She did. Alice made a desperate leap, her fingers brushing against the selfie stick for a heartbeat. It seemed like she might reach it, but the current ripped her away, pulling her under the surface, and Rachel, without a second thought, she dove in after her.
She went back into that.
She did manage to grab hold of that rock. Ross tried to fight her way back to the rock, but the water was too strong. They were both swept downstream, disappearing into the frothing chaos.
What happened next?
3 of them survived. They were found downstream, battered, but alive. The force of the water had tossed them around like driftwood. But Rachel's body was recovered a few days later.
I can't imagine the grief, the guilt.
The aftermath of this tragedy, it was like trying to piece together a puzzle in the dark. And the more pieces they found, the more horrifying the picture became, because it turned out that a few weeks before the friends arrived, a crucial warning sign had been stolen.
No warning sign.
A sign clearly stating the dangers of swimming in the area, warning of scheduled dam releases. It was supposed to be posted at the start of the trail, the one Rachel and her friends followed, but it wasn't there.
So they never stood a chance?
No. They had no idea that what seemed like a secluded paradise was actually a spill zone for the dam upstream. No idea that those sirens, those 3 chilling warnings, were the dam signaling a water release.
A tragic reminder that even in the most idyllic settings, danger can lurk beneath the surface.
We can't control the forces of nature, but we can educate ourselves, heed the warnings, maybe prevent another tragedy like this from happening again. I'm left with this question for you. What precautions do you take to stay safe when you're exploring the great outdoors? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and until next time,